This is a Wild Game Production podcast.
You remember.
Roll your stealth roll?
Game books, pencils, pizza, cheese puffs, and a hell of a lot of dice.
And the dragon woke up.
Roll for Initiative. This is the Roll for Initiative podcast, where 1E is the place to be.
Roll for Initiative podcast. We're in volume number 8. We're back for another episode. I'm Vince, and I'm sitting alongside Nick.
Hello.
Matt is off this week as he's preparing for Gen Con.
Yes, you have to prepare this early for Gen Con.
Oh, yeah, he's getting everything. He's getting his ducks in a row. He's got to do some extra time at work so he can take that extra time at work off for Gen Con. He's going to get us some interviews, maybe. Who knows? Matt's going to do what Matt does well at Gen Con, and that's report on what's going on in the future. Well, the past, whatever.
How about live in the now, man?
Yeah, man. So if you do want to write us an email, you can write us at rfistaff@gmail.com and let us know how we're doing. Go over to iTunes, give us a rating on there, and, whatever you want to give us. We'd appreciate it. Look up Roll for Initiative, pop it in there, give us the 5-star review, and give us love. Love, love, love.
Feel the love, man.
Yeah. Love. This week, we actually do have an email that we pulled out of the email bag. We appreciate all the people that have been writing in and encouraging us for the episodes, and they enjoy the extra look into the cartoons. They said that really someone has never done these things before. I've gotten from various people. Like, no one actually took a look at them in depth and figured out what monster was what, and, and try to put logic to the cartoons. Not that there's any logic you can put to some of these cartoons, but, we do our best. So
You use cartoon logic. How about that?
Bugs Bunny logic?
Dropping anvils on people's heads and whatnot.
Mm-hmm. Anyway. So our first email, our only email that we pulled out this week, we actually had a couple, but I pulled this one out especially because it'd be kind of interesting to debate about it with me and Nick. But this one comes from Steve Hauser, and he says, whole person spell. The second level cleric spell, whole person, seems to be poorly defined. What can break it? If attacked, will it break it? A magic missile strike? Can one be killed in one round automatically like the sleep spell? What do you guys think? I added that part.
Well, what do you all think? So, I'm sorry, the name of our person who sent the email?
Steven.
Well, I just want to first thank you, Steven, for the email. For, taking the time to do that, send this out to us. Reading through the description, in my opinion, there is a saving throw once it's cast from the cleric, and if you make the saving throw, they cannot be affected by this. They're totally unaffected by the spell. So it says in the book. As far as the rest of the description, there's no other way to break the spell. Once they're held for the duration of the spell. Nothing will break it.
Yeah.
Now, it doesn't mean you can't house rule something.
Yeah, true. Later editions,
like
they give you saves like every other round, practically.
So yeah, I mean, first time that's cast, you got to make a save versus spell. If you don't make it, you're held for the duration. If you do make it, it doesn't affect you at all. So, I mean, that's how I see it. I don't think I've ever recalled like hold person, like if something. If you're struck by a weapon or, you fell off you fell down a cliff, that maybe in later editions, maybe hold person is a little bit different. But in first edition, I'm going with, like, once you're held for the duration.
Yeah, you fail that save throw, you're just pretty much SOL and you're stuck there.
Yep.
But you don't instantly die if someone attacks you.
No.
You still have your hit points, especially if you're a PC. You have your hit points, and they'll be chipped away at. I mean, it depends on what rule system you're playing with. If you want to go with the whole you're frozen, the one-shot kill thing because they're immobilized, the coup de grace thing, whatever you want to call it, coup de grace, whatever. Those were house rules. I don't think it was ever officially a part of 1E. As far as I know, I mean, Nick, you're more of a historian here with these things.
I don't know. I always thought like the coup de grace thing was a house rule.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do recall that, like later on, like playing Hackmaster, which is basically first edition D&D with a whole bunch of other stuff. Like when casting Hold Person, if you have a thief in the group, that's a perfect opportunity. They help Hold Person. They come around, backstab. They just say, okay, coup de grace, I'm just going to slit their throat. Done. So that's a good way of, if you're facing a, big bad guy that's, I don't know, maybe, obviously affecting humans. Maybe you're facing an evil wizard or something like that, and he fails his saving throw versus spell. That's an effective way to using it.
Yeah.
I know that my group has done that. Something similar to that, at least.
We've all done that, I think.
Yeah. Hold Person, thief comes around, backstab, coup de grace sort of thing or whatever, and be done with it. It's a cheesy way,
yeah,
but it's a way.
Yeah, so, I mean, you can house rule in however you want. If you want it that it gets broken by an attack, sure. I mean, it's up to you. It's your game. Whatever makes you have fun in your game, and,
right.
Your players and friends at the table don't have a problem with it, then just do it.
Hey, just a simple fact, we got the email. I'm always enjoying opening my player's handbook.
Well, keep a monster manual near you and a fiend folio, because we have some things we're going over today.
Oh, yes, we do. We do. So I better grab those.
Ah. So let's get right into it. This week we're going to be doing episode number 5, In Search of Dungeon Master, written by Jeffrey Scott.
Mm-hmm.
Episode originally aired on the 15th of October in 1983, back when a young Nick was just getting into his bowl of Sugar Crisps.
Yeah, a 12-year-old Nick. Yes, it was.
Before he decided to go outside and play on his bike or ride his skateboard.
No, I was probably at this time,
playing Atari.
It's 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. I'm already thinking about going to the hobby store where we all get together. I'm like, oh, where are we going to play this week?
Really cool.
I would be there when the doors were ready to open.
Yeah, we had ours opened more around noontime, 1 o'clock. Waterloo, it was called.
Yeah, I think Star Realm would open up at 11 o'clock on Saturdays.
Yeah, I remember I should just go to that store just to look around, just to see what cool things that they had as far as RPGs and wargaming stuff. They had everything there. I mean, it was a little shop owned by this little old man, and
yeah,
it was nice. I mean, he went out of business because I think he died, unfortunately, and then no one else carried the business. So,
I could do a whole thing about Star Realm and Bill and Sandy Grush. They're great people and their whole family.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, back to this episode. This was rated a 7.5 out of 10 again.
Again.
Well, 44 people rated it that, according to IMDb, so whatever. Well, rated a consensus rating. Whatever.
Between two people.
Oh, that's 44 people. That's 2 people in your mind? Are you using
44? Well.
Are you using Common Core math again, Nick?
It's that new math.
Yeah.
I told you I wasn't a math person.
Summary. Dungeon Master is captured by an evil lord working for Venger. The kids must find Dungeon Master and free him before it's too late. My God, this episode. Anyway, that's what to say. We open up this episode in a swamp or a creepy forest again.
Yeah, a lot of openings in the swamp.
I think it was just a standard reuse of imaging of cartoon, background type thing.
Hey, swamps, deserts, I'm telling you, post-apocalyptic Earth. That's what the realms are.
With the group seemingly lost. Yeah. So, Eric takes up a bunch of calls with Hank as having, Hank, you have no idea where we're going,
Right.
blah, 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 complain, what are you doing, what are you doing? Which brings up a good point. This is another episode that starts with him being lost, Nick, right?
And it's always Hank's fault.
Right, but why hasn't Dungeon Master giving them a damn map, or why hasn't someone drawn something at this point?
Because Dungeon Master is a dick. We've talked about this already.
Okay, well, you would think the kids would figure out, maybe in the various towns they've been in, hey, why don't we buy a map of the world? Yeah.
Why don't we get somebody to get a map? How about a guide?
Well, that always fails when they do that, don't forget. So
Yeah, well, the ranger in the group is lame as hell at Get Out, so...
Hey.
Well, he is. He's always getting them lost.
Well, Dungeon Master keeps giving these half-assed clues to them half the time. Mm-hmm. And Hanks turns around to him and says, well, Dungeon Master said we'll find a clue to help us get home in the forest with no trees. So we have a new location here called the forest with no trees. So we think. Presto basically throws in the towel after like 2 seconds of looking around. And the debate, a forest can't have no trees. After much chatter...
He's right.
I know, yeah. After much chatter and bickering back and forth, they figure out
Chatter.
Yeah, they figure out that no means the word no. K-N-O-W.
Yes.
So Eric leaning against the tree, which I thought was hysterical. I don't know why I laughed out loud, but I guess it was just so cheesy. Says, that's ridiculous. Trees don't know anything. In which a tree becomes all triggered like and is like, excuse me, I beg your pardon.
But I do know lots of things.
Yeah. Side note, we get our treant from the Monster Manual on page 96.
Is it really a treant?
It has to be. Come on now. Or, which is basically the Ents from Lord of the Rings with the serial numbers filed off.
Copyright infringement. You just said it. I'm sorry. I beg to differ. It's something else. I don't think it's a treant.
Then what is it?
I just don't. I don't know. It's some weird other mystical tree because do treants know everything?
I thought, well, maybe.
No.
It's an all-knowing tree, so what?
I don't remember anything in their description about them like knowing all sorts of things.
Well, in the Dungeons and Dragons cartoon, they know all.
Okay, maybe it's a treant variant. I don't know.
There you go. It's Dungeon Master's homebrew treant. There.
Well, he is a dick. So
suddenly we cut to the Dungeon Master showing up riding a giant slug.
I thought that was kind of cute.
Yeah. And what appears to be a sprite speaking a mile a minute, probably drank a Red Bull or something.
Yeah, he's going,
and we can only understand, danger, uh-oh. Both can be found in the Monster Manual. Go ahead and look those up.
Yes, there's a pixie.
Yeah.
And is it a giant slug or a giant snail? I think it was a giant snail.
I was calling it a slug, and I was calling that a sprite. You think it's a pixie?
Well, it could be a sprite.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it looks like both.
I'm partial to Sprite.
Okay, so you can look
a little rum and Sprite never hurt.
Hey. You went there, didn't you?
I did. I mean, it could be a Sprite, could be a Pixie. I mean,
it could be a Dr. Pepper.
Yeah, sure.
There you go. So then the Sprite takes off, and we see a knight on a horse show up.
I know. Okay.
But we don't know that just yet. It was just some.
No, we don't hear his name for a while, too.
We just know it's some weird-looking knight with a weird helmet with no face and just glowing eyes in the darkness.
He looks like this.
Yes. And some bullywugs.
Modulated.
And we get some bullywugs, too.
Yeah, I know. Bullywugs. Really. You notice, if you haven't noticed yet already, into this series, they use quite a few monsters from the Fiend Folio.
Yeah.
You got Shadow Demon, you got Bullywug,
yep,
and another one that'll be coming up in a couple episodes, which is great.
Mm-hmm. In which DM zaps them back with his DM Doom powers, and he just kind of zaps them, and they kind of flip backwards, and whatever. I have to say, Bullywugs are perhaps one of the greatest low-level minions you could throw at PCs that you can find on the Fiend Folio.
Yeah, they're great.
I think they're really cool to use those things.
Yeah, they're great cannon fodder.
Anyway, the Bullywugs manage to throw a net on DM and capture him, but with a giant. But he has a giant smile on his damn face, and he pretty much kind of escapes. And they try to grab him,
And then he says, I forgot how much fun this is.
Yeah, you kind of hear like the Keystone Cops yakety sack playing in the background as they're trying to get him. And then the Knight shows up.
Yes.
Right next to Dungeon Master with his New York accent.
How you doing?
Do you notice when he said he's like, Dungeon Master?
Dungeon Master. How you doing?
And Dungeon Master's in a tree at this point, laughing and giggling like a little schoolgirl.
Yeah, he's like, these poor bullywugs who just probably want to go up and say hello. Maybe this is their way of using a net,
Right.
Saying hello, and he like goes and ruins their day.
So then Warduke, or the Knight as we know him at this point, just takes his sword and
Right.
slams it against the tree, which turns it into ice, freezing Dungeon Master in a little crystal casing of ice or what it was. I couldn't tell.
I think it was ice.
I'm guessing it had to be ice, but whatever.
Yeah, I'm going with ice.
So DM is now captured, and we notice that when he gets frozen up, he puts his hands in the whole, teepee fold, or what do they call those?
Sort of like a praying meditative sort of position.
Like Mr. Burns on The Simpsons, where he's like, excellent.
Yeah. Yes, excellent.
And his little crystal on his chest, which I have to laugh because the crystal on his chest starts up near his chin, but towards the end of the episode, it's near his stomach practically. But it's a different story.
Right.
But yeah, that just starts like a bright red color. I don't know what he's doing at this point, but we'll find out later.
It's phylactery. It is.
So he's a lich?
I'm not saying he's a lich. But he's very lich-like.
So
think about it.
Very true, yeah. So DM is captured at this point. We jump back to the kids talking to the Knowing Tree with a K, asking it dumb questions like who won the 1981 World Series?
World Series.
The tree's like, go ahead.
Oh, that's easy.
Yeah. The Great Wood Elves. So does that mean they have the same year time?
Apparently, in the realms, they have Major League Baseball.
And they have the same time structure as us, too.
Yeah.
1981 does exist in the D&D world as a year.
Apparently does. And then he asked, but on your world, was it the Dodgers against the Yankees?
Yeah, he basically says, but if you mean your world, your Earth world, or whatever he says, the Dodgers over the Yankees 4-2.
Like, that's kind of cool. I'm a baseball fan, so.
But then Eric
do
finally
Indians still suck in the realms, though. No,
probably.
I take that back.
Shame on you, Nick.
I know. I love the tribe. Anyway, moving on.
Big Chief is disappointed in you.
Great. Yeah. Chief Wahoo, him great leader.
Eric then finally asked the question I've been screaming for the whole entire time. How the hell do we get home?
He's about ready to throttle Dungeon Master.
Yeah, but then the Knowing Tree is like, well, DM is in danger. It's just like...
He knows.
He knows everything. The group runs off and says, DM's in trouble. We need to help him. They just basically ran off not knowing where he was in trouble, but they just ran off.
Doesn't Eric like kind of goes, hold on a minute, what the heck has he ever done for us?
Yeah, pretty much. He's the voice of reason here, man. He keeps the group like questioning everything, which is what we need him for.
I know, it's funny because the more I watch these episodes, I guess I really empathize with Eric more nowadays. Ugh.
So the group, hot on the trail to DM, who knows how they found the trail to DM, they get surrounded by the Bullywugs. Hank attempts to be friendly, which doesn't really work.
No.
And then shoots off a warning, fireworks warning. What the hell that even was. I was like, great, he'd be perfect for the 4th of July. So,
careful.
Which probably would happen in this world since they have the same time frame as us. So
I'm going to shoot off this Roman candle.
The frogs all scatter and then regroup and attempt to get the group and fail at every attempt. And then...
Those are bullywugs.
Yeah, well, they're not really smart. Eric with Presto hiding behind a rock. The Cavalier and the Mage, the magic user hiding behind a rock at this point. asked him to pull something out of his hat that is useful. So, presto, does a little rhyme, pulls out giant fly bugs, which distracts the frogs and causes, which is basically food for them. So they basically oh.
I gotta track this.
Which
This is actually
technically,
something useful.
when he's
It's
basically
something useful.
yeah, he discards it off as being useless. He drops his hat, and all these bugs come out, and the frogs are
All
like,
these
ooh, So it actually tally one for him.
Yep, count is up to 7
All right.
for all you keeping score at home.
And then the group just kind of sneaks off in the background as you watch the bullywugs jumping up trying to catch the flies and eat them. Giant flies at that, too. I wouldn't want to be stung by one of those things.
That was clever.
Yeah, definitely. He didn't mean to do it, but he did it. Now we cut to the group resting by a lake, trying to figure out what to do, because they pretty much have no clue where Dungeon Master is. They just ran off and didn't ask the knowing tree, which probably would have been the smart thing to do, but would have ended the episode right there, probably.
Right.
Conveniently, the sprite shows back up and mumbles at Eric. We can only make out Bullywugs and Dungeon Master.
Right.
But apparently, Sheila now understands the sprite perfectly and tells them what it said, but has no clue how she's able to understand it. I don't know. I can just understand.
Yeah. Well, that goes into the whole, thieves knowing certain languages?
You think so?
I thought so.
No, maybe. I
think so.
I mean, we comprehend
Isn't
languages.
that one of the things that thieves pick up later on is knowledge of multiple languages?
Like a comprehend languages thing, yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
The comprehend languages thing?
Yeah.
I think that's actually how it played out there.
So the group follows the sprite. Now we cut to the cave entrance with creepy music.
Ooh, scary.
Yes. In which the cave entrance looks like a monster's mouth with teeth. Did you notice that?
Yes.
That can't be a natural forming cave. Come on now.
Too
Anyway.
bad it wasn't green devil face.
Yeah, right?
Mm.
Then we see the inside. We cut to the inside of the cave, which we see the shadow demon flying in past some bullywugs that are guarding mounds of treasure, I'm thinking. That's what it looked like. Riches and treasure. The shadow demon meets up with the knight, who tells him he has a jewel for the crown of his master and shows him the DM in the ice.
Mm-hmm.
The shadow demon gets all excited, thinking maybe DM is dead, but the knight points out that the red crystal on his neck is pulsing, which means he's still alive. Now, it also moved further down on his chest at this point. The knight tells the demon, "Go tell your master. He can be yours for the right price."
You can be yours. Duh.
For the right price, yo.
Yeah, you did. Go Adrian.
So we cut to the kids on a somewhat narrow path on a mountainside with their backs against the wall, even though it's wide enough for them to just walk. Which I didn't
They're
really...
really scared.
Yeah, especially Presto and Eric. They were majorly scared of that.
Well, Presto's always scared.
That's true. And Hank was kind of just like, "Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo. I'm Hank. Doo-doo-doo-doo-doo."
Because I'm a ranger. I'm nimble on my feet. Doo-doo.
Doo-doo. Boop. Yeah. They come to the end, but they find out that they need to somehow get across the valley because the sprite says so. So he goes, blah, 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 and Sheila's like, "Well, I guess we need to get to the other side," he says.
So the sprite sounds like a turkey?
Blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And notice we haven't had any uni time at this point during the episode. We're probably
not really, not much.
10 minutes
the
in.
Sprite is annoying enough as it is.
Yeah, well, they just transferred the annoyance to something else, but...
Yeah.
So Presto decides to pull something out of his hat, but he drops it.
Yeah, moron.
But when they look down the mountainside, they see some Lamassu flying up at them. So
are those Lamassu?
I'm thinking they are, because that's the
I
closest...
thought they were Manticores.
You think so?
You know...
Page 59 in the Monster Manual.
I don't know. I'm kind of... Yeah, they kind of like spill out of the hat when it's like falling down the cliff, right?
So that's another tally to his successfulness. Because you'll see their use in 1 second once we're done talking about this.
Well, they may be Lamassu. I mean, they just seem kind of mean for Lamassu. You know what I mean?
They really weren't mean. So when
Wait a minute, were the wings like a bat or wings like an eagle?
I don't recall offhand.
If they were a bat, like they were a manticores.
I don't think they were bat. I think they were more like an eagle. But I have to go back and look at the episode because I didn't even think about the difference between the two of them that much. I just looked at it and went, that's definitely a Lamassu. Whatever.
That important minds want to know.
The Lamassu just grabbed them and moved them over to the other side. And oh yeah, one tosses Presto his hat back.
Yes.
So, successful use of the hat?
Well, he didn't really do it. The hat kind of did it on its own, didn't it?
Well, he kind of started doing it and then he dropped it, so...
Okay, I'll give it to him.
Yeah, give him the benefit of the doubt.
There's so few and far between of him being right. So
Very true. We actually should be telling how many times he screws it up. That's probably more of a tally, but anyway.
Yeah.
They just toss them over and then they toss his hat back and they kind of just wave at him and leave.
They're like, bye!
We were just here for this one thing. And they just fly off.
Yep.
Then the sprite's like, I'm a turkey. Dungeon Master, close. But you notice that he says, whatever he says, Dungeon Master close. And Sheila translates that to say, he said Dungeon Master isn't far.
He's not far.
That's the translation that she gave. I don't know. I just looked at that and started laughing. I'm like, she couldn't have said Dungeon Master's close. I mean, I don't know. I guess I'm looking into it too much. Whatever.
You know what?
What?
They are Lamassu.
I thought so.
Yep. I'm looking at the video right now, and at 8:10,
Yeah.
you pause it right there. They got eagle-like wings. They're Lamassu. They look very unhappy, but they're Lamassu nonetheless.
Yeah, they just look pissy, is right, yeah.
Yeah,
Well, they were
it's
probably
like,
annoyed.
"We just came out of somebody's hat."
Yeah, they got annoyed because they were summoned out of a hat.
Yeah, I would be pissed off too, man. It's like, we were just going to lay down here, probably going to have some little nausea, and then we come out of somebody's hat.
So now they're gangster Lamassu?
There was a gang of them, literally. There was 6 of them.
Anyway,
Would that be like a gang?
maybe it's a flock. Who knows?
A flock?
A gaggle, whatever the hell they call it.
A herd?
Yeah, maybe, whatever. We cut to the kids in front of another creepy cave, and the sprite says, blah, 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 Dungeon Master in there. No translation from Sheila at this point, but the group understands him pretty much.
She understands him.
And
that's all that matters.
Yes. The group then debates about the mouth of the cave, and Eric said he's done, throws his arms in the air, and storms off, saying he'll find his own way home, and he'll send help back. Don't worry, like the Marines or something.
Yes.
And they're just like, meh. They just let him go, meh.
They're like, good riddance, pal.
And the rest of the group is just like, meh, and they go in the cave. As the ground shakes, the sprite just goes, I'm out of here. And takes off. And we see what looks like an earth elemental storming down the cave entrance way that they're there.
Mm-hmm.
You'd agree it's an earth elemental, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Page 38, 39, Monster Manual.
Oh, yeah, that's an earth elemental. I don't remember anything else like any lava or anything like that. So. And
then here we get a little bit of comedy as Presto is asked if he can whip up something to stop that thing as it's charging towards the kids, only to get more annoyed because Hank is blasting bolts at it, and it's just like, rah, rah, and blocking the bolts.
Bing, bang, and they're deflecting off of it.
So Presto pulls out his hat, says some dumb rhyme, and he pulls out a stop sign.
Yeah.
Like a street stop sign. And sticks it into the ground, thinking maybe that would work.
Wah, wah.
Yeah, and he gives this weird look on his face as they all run off, and the monster chases them into a dead end. He also crushes the sign on his way, so.
Yeah, that was fitting.
But Sheila comes up with a brilliant plan and has the group run off as she distracts the monster by going invisible and confusing it.
Yeah, because he was so intent. He's like, where did she go?
So distracts the monster enough so they can get away. Then she kind of hides in the background. But as the group is getting away, they run into the orcs again, who capture them with the utmost ease that I've ever seen them get captured. I mean, to the point that, like, oh crap, what's the acrobat's name? Diana?
Diana, yes.
Yeah, Diana's giving him that girly slap. Oh, no, don't hurt me. And Bobby's like in the air with his feet dangling, and I'm just like, really? And Hank's just like, meh, nothing. They just get captured.
Well, they were probably expecting bullywugs. They didn't expect orcs.
But I mean, come on now. They've handled these orcs with ease before, and now all of a sudden it's just like, done.
What?
Anyway. The orcs welcome them, and then Hank's like, or is it Presto, I think, said, where? And the orc leader zaps the wall with some type of remote device, and he says, well, the slave mines of Theramore, of course. Great.
Of course.
The orc... The orc leads him through this, like, tunnel that opened up in the magic, Star Trek wall when he zapped it. Yeah. And as it's closing, we see Sheila sneak in and uncloak herself so, the audience can tell where the hell she is because we're dumb. They couldn't have maybe, drawn, like, footprints on the ground or something like that. We had to have that stupid whoop or take off the cloak, look around, and then put it back on. You notice that? I was just like, whatever. Meh. So the orcs lead the group in as Sheila sneaks in behind him, uncloaks herself. Oh yeah, we already said that.
Yes.
Now we cut to Eric walking in a creepy dead swamp, talking to himself, looking for help. And we notice that, he's pretty much like, oh man, I'm going to find someone. There's no one around. Oh.
Yeah, this is hilarious.
And then a tentacle comes from out of the water about the size of the water. I mean, where he's standing, which is ankle deep in the water, how the hell did he miss this thing?
I don't know.
He should have seen or heard this creature a mile away, dude.
Well, he's self-absorbed. He's a self-absorbed cavalier. What do you want?
True. And he just keeps walking, and the thing tries to swipe him, and it misses. Because he sees someone walking, and he's like, oh, help. Great. He runs over and goes, excuse me, sir. And it's just a friggin' zombie.
Brains.
Which you can find on page 103 of the Monster Manual.
You can find brains and things? Which one?
No, zombie, you silly goose.
Oh.
Eric goes,
he didn't say brains, but yeah, zombie.
He just, Eric gets scared and goes, and runs off as the zombie is stumbling after him.
Yes.
So we get our
and then scene, I believe.
Yeah, that's all it was. It was just the comic relief the entire time with him and wherever he is.
Mm-hmm. He's still lost in some swamp.
Yeah. We cut back to an overview of the demon flying into Venger's crib.
What up, yo?
What up, yo? We finally get a name to the knight, Warduke.
It is? Warduke.
Yes. As a
there is an action figure for him.
Yeah, he was also in a module, too.
Oh, yeah, a real lame D&D module.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I have it module, and I have all the stuff for it. It's actually worth quite a bit for some reason, and I don't know why, but I have it.
Just the sheer collectability value, I think, just because it's tied into a toy line and a cartoon series.
That could be it, yeah.
Yeah.
So the demon tells Venger that Warduke, we get his name, captured the DM, and Venger, like, pretty much is like, yeah, whatever, I don't know, Warduke.
He's such a loser.
Yeah, like, he's like, basically, like, Warduke's a loser, I doubt it. But then, believes him because the demon's like, yeah, I saw it, dude. Dude, I'm not lying.
So in there, he's got him captured.
And he says, you can have it for the right price, which pisses Venger off like a child who's been told no.
Yeah, he's like, how dare he?
But then quickly recovers as he sees how this really is a good situation for him at this point.
Because he did capture a dungeon master.
Exactly, which he's been trying to do for how many years at this point? Decades, probably. We don't know.
A long, long time.
Yeah, we don't exactly know. So we cut back to the slave pits. Dwarves are mining while an orc stands over them with kind of like a whip in his hand. So it's kind of like the slave master type thing going on there.
Oh, yeah. Those poor dwarves.
The group is shown slaving away, picking at the wall. Man, they look sad as a bunch of laborers. Like, Presto's like, ding, 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 ding. Like, not even trying.
He is a magic user. He's not proficient with that weapon.
That's very true. You see it right there. He was using it at -4, so.
That's right. And it showed.
And it showed. Oh, yeah, we get a bonus scene. Uni's in a cage while the orcs are eating and fighting over food at a table.
And you're hoping that Uni is next, aren't you?
Well, they do kind of say, what are we going to have for dessert? And then Uni goes, and jumps inside the hay.
Well, that didn't answer my question, though.
Oh, yeah, I was definitely hoping that Uni was next. Oh, yeah. Do I really need to answer that? I mean, come on now.
No, I kind of thought it was a given. I just had to hear it from your mouth.
True. Then we cut to Sheila, who reappears to talk to herself because she can't talk to herself invisible, apparently. I don't know.
Maybe it muffles your voice. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, you can't think. I mean, it's a cartoon. She could have just thought to herself, but whatever.
Yes, cartoon logic.
She reappears for like half a second, like not even long enough. The orcs roll a perfect spot check and be like, "Well, there's somebody here," and they go running up there. It's like she was there for half a second, and they go running right exactly where she was because they're like, "We saw her," but then she poops away
the
faster.
pace of the episode, apparently.
Yeah, when she pretty much goes, and then poof, gone, and they're like, "Oh, I could have sworn to. Oh, maybe it was like the rocks moving or something stupid." They said like that.
It was the wind. I don't know.
Yeah. Now we go back to the group who mumbles and bickers a bit, wish they can see DM right now. A dwarf who's next to them, conveniently, hears them and gives them hope, saying he knows where the DM is and tells them, rescue... No, actually I should... Nick needs to do this voice, but rescue him, you who he will not, unless you rescue first. Rescue him, you first. That's what he says. Okay. Rescue you, he will not, unless him you rescue first. So basically we have Yoda, the dwarf.
Rescue him, you not. Blah, 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 blah.
So Hank wants to know how to rescue him, the DM. The dwarf says, tell you I will, but promise me first my people you will free. Why do the dwarves talk like this?
Reasons?
Since when does a dwarf talk like Yoda?
I don't know. They talk like they're speaking Old English. Ye and thous and whatnot.
Yeah, true. Hank gleefully accepts for the group, not even discussing it with them. Oh, of course!
Sure!
Because that's the lawful good Hank he is.
Yep.
For a ranger who should be probably chaotic good, but he's lawful good.
Nice. Chaotic idiot.
Oh, did you notice that the dwarf, when he was speaking for an extended period, he actually sounded like the same person that did the voice for DM? Did you notice that?
I did not notice it. I did not pick up on that.
Yeah.
Must have been early in the shoot.
Because when he was talking, I was thinking to myself, that sounds like the same actor that does the Dungeon Master's voice.
Maybe it really is Dungeon Master disguised as a dwarf, and this is all his ruse to mess with the
You know what?
group.
That's what I was thinking. It was just some kind of a big ruse.
We've already determined DM's a dick.
Yeah, true. He's a big dick. So after Hank gleefully agrees, he tells them the Dungeon Master's on the other side of the wall that they're working at. And I'm just like, ugh. So the group has to come up with a plan to get their weapons back. Cut to Eric, deep in the middle of the swamp.
He's being chased by the zombies still.
At this point, I don't think he is, because he's just far enough away. We see a snake dart at him, and he goes, ah! And runs off. So, 2 seconds of comic relief there. Because we were being too serious at that point.
Right.
Back to the cave, where we see the group's weapons on a dinner table next to the orcs eating. Yeah, I don't know. Sheila uncloaks next to stupid Uni, and the orcs, not less than, 10 feet away? You want to say maybe 15 feet, right? Basically within eye shot of all of them. So picture they're all sitting they're sitting at a dinner table. They're all on the sides of the table. At the head of the table, 15 feet away is Uni's cage, where Sheila uncloaks in front of them. And they do not see her.
Apparently they are nearsighted.
They also fail their listening rolls, too. She goes, oh, yuck!
And they have no peripheral vision either.
Yeah. They don't see her, they don't hear her, and they're just too busy eating.
They are orcs.
She runs over to Uni, who mumbles something and points at the orcs, in which Sheila now speaks unicorn, apparently, and says, "Good idea!"
Yeah.
Give
So
us
we determined she knows how to speak unicorn and pixie or sprite, where it is.
You want to give me? Want to give us our Uni talk for the episode? Yeah, that's pretty much what it sounded like. So she unlocks Uni's cage, and this allows Uni to do what Uni does best: be freaking annoying as hell.
Yes, be incredibly stupid.
So Uni jumps on the table, kicks the food, dances around, screams. They all go, "Whoa!" While Sheila,
Acting all spastic.
yeah, pretty much acting like a normal, stupid little baby unicorn does. That I can't stand.
How do you know this? Anyway, never mind.
Yeah, I'm not going to get into that.
Okay.
They also fail their spots or whatever, their checks, because she pretty much walks right around and takes the weapons.
Great distraction they had there.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, they must have had, -20 because of Uni kicking food in their face. Whatever.
Well, dessert was getting in the way.
Eat your vegetables. She brings them back to the group. They get their stuff back, and Hank decides that blasting the mine wall over and over again is the best way to go. Which I said to myself, nah, don't worry about if that wall's holding up part of the cave or anything, right? It's a cartoon.
Yeah, it's not a load-bearing wall at all.
Nah. There's maybe a reason why nobody was hacking away at that wall, but yeah, it's fine.
Sure.
So, much to my sadness, the wall did not burst apart like I thought it would. It cuts a perfect tunnel. I don't get that. It just cuts a perfect tunnel that they can crawl through, but Bobby decides it's not big enough, so he smacks it with his club.
Remember, cartoon logic, buddy.
But then he smacks it with his club, so now they can just walk through it.
Yeah.
And the wall's still intact.
Well, they were rushed for time for drawing this out.
Well, yeah, you can absolutely see the part of the wall that was already pre-drawn that was going to fall apart. You know how they do that in the older cartoons?
Yeah.
Anyway, in which they look in and they see a perfect path to DM in his little ice ball. I don't know, a pedestal. I don't know, what is that? Steps, whatever. I'm going to say a platform.
I do have to say something before they go in, right?
Yeah.
You said that when the orcs were saying now there was another table that had all their magic items, right?
It was the same one they were eating at, like at the end of the table.
Right. But the items were, and so why didn't Warduke take them?
I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, if it were me, I'd be like, oh, cool, new shield. Hey, check this out. Nice bow. Hey, check this out.
I think at this point, Warduke didn't realize that they were captured because he's been with Venger the whole time.
Yeah.
Maybe that's why, and the orcs are just dumb, and they're just like, oh, weapons. We'll just put them at the end of the table.
You know what? I'll go with that. I'm
thinking the orcs just put them at the end of the table. They're like, ooh, food, and they got distracted, and that was pretty much the situation.
Probably.
I don't know. So they see DM, they run up to him, and they try to figure out a way, but is only stopped by Venger, who says, you can't free DM.
You can't free him.
And then he blasts the DM ice statue, and the life crystal fades out. And Venger tells them his life force has left the crystal, and for him, the game is over. But...
And the season. Oh, wait, what?
No. The Bullywogs come back. And capture them.
Yay.
So as the Bullywogs come back to capture them and corner them, and they're like surrounded with their weapons, we cut to Eric running in the swamp.
Yeah.
Being chased by...
Because we had the in that scene on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. It's a commercial one. Being chased by a giant turtle. Page 97, Monster Manual.
Yep, giant turtle. By this time, I've had my second bowl of cereal, I believe.
Probably. Going, Sugar Crisp.
Sugar Crisp?
Yeah, why not? You don't like
Sugar Crisp? What brand is that?
Their Sugar Crisps were the now equivalent of Golden Crisps. With the bear, Sugar Bear.
Oh, Sugar Bear, Sugar Crisps.
Yeah,
right.
they were called Sugar Crisps originally, and then they turned them into Golden Crisps. because
okay,
it wasn't
I'm with you.
the whole eat good kid crap thing that they started doing in the 90s.
Right. Okay. Gotcha.
So he is being chased by the giant turtle, and he falls into a hole in the ground.
How convenient.
Yeah, really. We cut back to Venger demanding the weapons of power again, which he goes back and forth between saying weapons of power and items of power, I've noticed throughout the entire series. So make up your mind.
Weapons/items of power.
Yeah, I know. The group prepares to defend themselves, but Presto basically caves and she's like, "Hey, here, you can have it."
Yeah, well.
He just takes his hat off, grabs Bobby's club, starts to gather the stuff. I'm like, "Here you go."
Here, I'm such a coward.
As he's doing that, we hear a noise, and we hear Eric. We hear Eric fall, and he lands on Warduke. That squishes pretty much Warduke to the ground.
Yeah.
So
How convenient.
now, if we go by wrestling logic here, stay with me, Nick. Okay?
Okay, I'm with you.
Wrestling logic. He's now the greatest of all time. Why, you ask? Which he didn't, but I'm going to say
Because he KO'd Warduke.
Right. But this is the logic you have to follow. Eric defeated Warduke, who defeated the most powerful man alive, which means Eric is now the most powerful man alive. That's wrestling logic, by the way.
Right. But he didn't use a chair on him. He just fell on him.
No, but that's wrestling logic. If you beat the person that beat the most powerful person in the world alive, you now become the most powerful person in the world.
Mm-hmm.
Wrestling logic.
Wrestling logic.
So a giant battle ensues now. Presto is told to try something, but he only pulls black smoke out of his hat.
And I thought this was actually pretty good because you have bullywugs and orcs in the same battle.
Yeah.
That's actually, I thought was actually pretty cool.
Yeah. A massive battle with Warduke and Venger and the kids, and then the bullywugs and the orcs.
Mm-hmm.
We kind of cut to Warduke and Hank battling it out, but Hank's arrow knocked Warduke's sword out of his hand and flies and breaks the unbreakable ice case around DM, who says, "Good morning!"
It's like Frosty the Snowman. Happy birthday!
I know, yeah. DM and Venger exchange words, and DM defeats Venger by just zapping him away, pretty much.
Like he normally does.
Yeah, because Venger is weak, apparently.
There's,
And I don't know what happened to Warduke at this exact moment, but Hank runs out with the group freeing the dwarfs, and the group runs out of the caves with the dwarfs now, followed by Warduke, the bullywugs, and the orcs, which I don't know where they went during the time frame of him freeing the dwarfs, so I don't know. The kids are like, "Oh no, there's too many of them," but then DM is like, "Oh well, I'll just take care of it." He wiggles his finger, and he makes the mountain explode with lava, which chases everybody off.
yeah. DM, lots of power.
Yeah, and they remark on that. They remark on how powerful Dungeon Master is and how some of his power, why doesn't he just, it's so easy, why don't he just use the power? And then DM gives them a really weird smile and tells them something about power and blah, 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 and responsibility.
Power,
and
responsibility.
Spider-Man and, Peter Parker, and things like that,
Yep.
After school special, and then boop, and cartoon credits.
And scene.
Yeah, it was pretty much an end scene. That was the episode.
That was the episode.
You know what? I'm really glad that these episodes did not include the PSAs that they started doing on like He-Man and G.I. Joe and things like that. Because I would have just pretty much dove through the window if we had to go through those again.
Yeah, I agree. Because with He-Man and G.I. Joe, they got really cheesy after a while.
You know what's
so
kind of...
they never did that with this cartoon.
No.
I'm actually quite surprised.
I think it's right... Well, He-Man was also the same time frame, right? 80...
Oh, yeah.
So I don't know why they didn't do it.
Roughly.
I'm surprised they didn't do it, because that was part of the whole initiative council back then, so... Weird. Almost all cartoons started doing it. I guess they escaped it. Gygax is like... Kids play D&D. That's all they need to know.
Yeah. They learn their good morals from that.
I was actually talking to one of my friends about this the other day at work, about the PSAs at the end, and he was like, they started doing that in the 90s too. I'm like, no, they didn't. I thought they stopped doing that. He's like, no, look at the New Adventures of He-Man. Which I completely forgot about that. Do you remember the New Adventures of He-Man?
Apparently I forgot about it too.
Well, the New Adventures of He-Man, which I watched the first episode because I wanted to know what the hell he was talking about, because I completely erased that from my mind. He-Man... just drawn now at this point like G.I. Joe, it looks like.
Ew.
And Skeletor is drawn like weird looking. And they go to a future time frame in another planet, practically. And they're no longer on Eternia. They're on some planet called Primus.
Primus.
Yeah, so it's now He-Man and Skeletor
So
fighting.
they're on the planet with the band Primus. Got it.
Yes. And now it's a battle of humans versus mutants. And He-Man says by the power of Eternia at this point, and he fights for the power of good and magic. Yeah.
Lame.
Yeah, and they have the PSAs at the end of that too, because I saw a couple of them. They're just really bad PSAs. Like, buckle your seatbelt. Make sure to look both ways crossing the street. Things like that. I'm like, ugh.
Chew your food before you swallow.
I don't think that was a PSA. But
pull up your pants after you go to the bathroom.
Stop.
You imagine that?
Yeah, it's T-Man sitting on the ball here. Remember, kids, wipe twice and pull up your pants when you're done. And don't forget, keep the seat down, because you never know when your sister or mom might have to use the bathroom.
Particularly when She-Ra shows up. Anyway.
And then have Sheila like, whoops, I forgot.
Oopsie me.
So that's the end of the episode.
Man.
Yeah.
Okay, this episode, I don't know how to make take things out of it to make an adventure of it, because to me it just seems so tied into the magic items and them and with Dungeon Master.
The only way I would see, maybe maybe they have then they really wouldn't care most of the time. I was going to say maybe there's like a guide that's bringing them around and they get lost and the guide gets captured and they have to go save the guide, and that's the only thing I could think of offhand for that.
Yeah, you can almost go with the whole damsel in distress thing. It's pretty much what the episode is. And Dungeon Master is the damsel in distress.
Yeah, but we find out the Dungeon Master really wasn't in distress, and he was just doing it to,
Because he's a dick.
Yeah, he's just basically doing it to show them that they can do things without magic and power.
Right. That's
dumb.
kind of a rough lesson to learn, where you almost die at the hands of bullywugs and orcs.
And Warduke.
Yeah.
Which I don't think we ever see Warduke again, do we? I don't recall. No.
I don't remember.
Yeah.
I'll have to look in the future episodes. But
yeah.
Well, I know they introduce what's his name later on. Well, anyway.
What's his name?
Whoever Warduke's enemy was.
Oh, okay, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was like a paladin, I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, this one you really can't break into an adventure unless you want to do like Nick and I suggested, damsel in distress, and it gets captured, and the kids can get captured in the cave. I mean, you can set up the different scenes like they did and try to integrate it into your game.
Right.
And I think it was Bill Barsh, I want to say, who was talking to me about this the other day, and he was saying how he was going to write up something since we were doing the cartoon, it inspired him to write up some type of module, I think, for North Texas next year or something. I'm sorry, Bill. I can't remember exactly what you said, because it was a couple weeks ago when we talked about this. And he was saying how he's going to write up something for an adventure, and he thought it was kind of cool. And us reviewing the cartoon kind of got him into the mood of doing this. So,
well, that's good.
So we inspired somebody at least, right?
And I've noticed something, if you haven't heard it already. My friend Jeff, I was over there a few weeks ago at his house for our game night. Guess what he was doing? He was listening to our episode and watching the D&D episode at the same time.
So we were like the director's commentary the whole time?
Yeah, if anything, more like MST3K, but yeah.
That's it. We're going on a high note. George Costanza style.
Isn't that something?
That's cool.
So and it works great. He paused it at the right area, so us talking about a certain scene, and then so for everybody out there, give it a go. Just open up a couple of both browser windows, have the D&D cartoon running, and have our commentary, and there you go.
There you go. Yeah,
and you can laugh right along with us.
Or laugh at us, whichever one you want to do.
Or hey, I'll take it.
Alrighty, so with that said, we're going to say thank you to everybody. Give us a shout out, rfistaff@gmail.com. Go over and hit us up on Facebook at RFI Podcast. You can go to our website, rfipodcast.com, and iTunes, and give us a rating. Good night, everybody.
And scene.
Roll for initiative.